I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. We continue on to page 36 of the Grade 2 Discovering Music Theory book, and we continue to look at the topic of intervals. And now exercise 2 asks us to describe these intervals, the distance between these two notes in each of these sections, always counting from the tonic. We're in A minor, so A is note 1, and that's the one we need to make sure we count first. And we need to count the distance between these notes and describe the intervals. And so if you feel like you're able to do this, just crack on, and then we can check through the answers together. And we can see here that this is an A in the treble clef. So if that is step 1 of the scale, next door to that is step 2, and from the tonic to the second step, we would call that the interval of a second. If we're not sure, because the only way we can go wrong is to forget to count number 1 and just step 1 as it were. And you can double check it by just writing out a representation of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now then, A minor is related to C major. It's got no sharps or flats as a key signature, but we always must remember to raise the 7th degree of the scale, so the G becomes a G sharp, which will explain this later, won't it? And so here we can see we've got a 1, 2, 3 from A, B, C. And we can double check, we can see that is indeed a third. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a fourth. And we can be sure of that because we can see that D is the 4th step of the scale. So from step 1 to step 4 gives us a 4th. And also we can see that we've just extended the previous one by a step. And we're going to extend by another step, so we can be pretty sure that's going to be a 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is indeed a 5th. And we can see that E is the 5th step of the scale. So from A to E is the interval of a 5th. The distance between those two notes is a 5th. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Always counting A as 1. We can see that's a 6th. Don't just write the number 6, we do have to write 6th to properly describe the interval. And we can see that A to F is a 6th. And then here, the big clue here is this is our raised 7th, that's our big clue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's our G sharp 7th. And then here we've gone the whole octave, or 8th you could say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the space, 8 is the line. And now perhaps you can just have a go at exercise 3. Do press pause, try this, and then we can check through together. So I'm hoping that you've had a go of this. And so we can see that we're in A minor here, and we're asked to write one note after counting upwards, always counting up from the tonic, to create the named interval, the distance between the two notes. We're always counting up, and it says to use accidentals if necessary, because do remember we always need an accidental in every minor scale to raise the 7th. And then if we're in a major scale, if there's no key signature, we need to add the key signature as accidentals in place of a key signature. So we can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to tell us that's the sixth, so long as we remember to count 1 on the tonic. If you want to be extra sure, we could just write out the steps of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're not quite there yet because remember the 7th degree of a minor scale, harmonic minor scale, is G sharp. However, that's not applied here because that's a note F. So now we're counting quite high from this A, so we've got to use some ledger lines. So A is 1, B is 2, use a ledger line for middle C, there's our third, and there, that tells us we're correct. Now we're going to drop down an octave, so we don't need ledger lines now. So we have 1 is the tonic, 2, counting space line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that gives us an E. We can see that's correct. Now we move into a major key. So we have an octave from this low B flat. We're going to need a B flat an octave higher. Now be careful we don't end up too many octaves high, so still count it out because we don't want to be 2 octaves too high because that's more than 8 steps, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's our B. However, it's not correct yet because we need it to be B flat major, which has a key signature of B flats and E flats, and of course our tonic is a B flat. Oh, there we go. And then now we need the fourth, counting line, space, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a note E. We're not correct yet though, because B flat major should have a key signature of B flats and E flats. There is no key signature, so we need to apply these as accidentals. So that needs to be an E flat. Now we're quite high here, so we're going to need to use some ledger lines, counting space, line, space. So here is the space of the tonic. Then we need the line for the second, and so the third is going to be on that second ledger line, the space above that. So we have B flat, C, D. And if you want to be sure, we could just count B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And of course it should be B flats and E flats. And then we can see that the D is the 1, 2, 3. So there we know that we're correct. Let's move on. Now we get to try the same exercise, but now in D minor, counting up from D as our tonic in the treble clef. So we can just do this in steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which takes us to a C. However, that's not quite correct yet. So let's just draw out what we're going to need to think about. So steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we counted from D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Now there's no key signature here, but D minor should have a key signature of B flats because it's related to F major, which should have a key signature of B flat. So we're going to have to apply that as an accidental. And then because we're in the minor scale, remember we have to raise the 7th degree of the scale always as an accidental, even if there were a key signature there. So here we have a C, and so we know that the 7th degree of the scale must be raised, and now we're correct. Now we've got to count quite high here, so we're going to need a ledger line, counting line, space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the ledger line, 6 is the space, and the 6th is a B, but it's B flat because we need to apply what would be a key signature. So there it becomes a B flat. Now we drop down an octave. So if D is number 1, we count up 1 step from D to E. There's our 1, 2, there's the interval of a second, and there's nothing to add there. If you haven't done so already, I do recommend that you now do definitely press pause, try the rest unaided, and then we can check through together. So I'm hoping that you've done that, and so we will now check these through together. So in A major, we know that we need to have a key signature of F sharps, C sharps and G sharps. That's not present, so we're going to have to add them as accidentals. If you want to be extra sure that you've definitely counted your tonic as number 1, we could just draw out the scale. So here are the degrees of the scale: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. A major has a key signature of F, C, G sharps. So we need an F sharp, a C sharp, and a G sharp should any of those notes appear, because there's no key signature to do that job for us. So we're counting up a third from A. So we count A as 1, B as 2, C as 3, but we know that the key signature should tell us it's C sharp, so we're going to have to do that job as an accidental there. Now we count in an octave, so we know that we're going to begin from A to A. We don't want too many octaves between, so we've still got to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 takes us here. There's our octave, so A to A. And then the 7th is going to be one step down. We've got the same tonic, so if that's the 8th, there's the 7th. We can be doubly sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 takes us to a G in the bass clef. And we know that it should be a G sharp because the key signature is not there to do the job for us. We need to add an accidental to show that. And now we have this final row. We're in the key of E flat major, which has a key signature of B flats, E flats and A flats. There is no key signature to do that job for us, so we need to bear that in mind as an accidental should it occur. And if you want to be extra sure that you've definitely counted your tonic as step 1, note 1, the first degree of the scale, we can always just put a guide below. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. There are the steps of the scale. Now we know that we need a B flat. E flat will occur twice after my E one. I do a curly E and then I try not to and end up sort of slipping between the two. So we want B flats, E flats, however you draw your E, and A flats. There we go. So just a little reminder, should we ever forget the key signature, we've got that there as well, haven't we? So we're counting from E flat, so we need to count up a 6th. E flat is 1, 1, 2, 3, counting line, space, line, so on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so that takes us to a C, which isn't affected by the key signature, so we don't need an accidental there. We jump up the octave now to a higher tonic, and we're counting a 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4 takes us to the line. And that's a note A. Good boys deserve football always, and that should have a flat. The key signature is not there to do that for us, so we need to add that. Back down to the lower tonic. If E flat is the first, we need to go up to the next step of the scale, to the 2nd degree of the scale. E flat to F is a 2nd. And then we end in E minor. So let's just give ourselves all the clues we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Counting E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Now E minor we know is related to G major, which has a key signature of F sharp, so we need to know that there's an F sharp because the key signature is not there to do that job for us, so we need to make sure we remember that. And then because this is a minor scale, we need to show the 7th degree of the scale is raised. That's step 1, step 2 in the minor scale. And now we're ready to count our intervals. So we counted up the steps of the scale, counting E as 1, counting line, space, line, every step. 1, 2, 3, 4 takes us to A in the treble clef, which is unaffected by the key signature or the accidental of the raised seventh. We're only on a fourth. We jump the octave now for a higher tonic, so we're going to need some ledger lines. So counting space line, so on 1, 2, 3, 4 is the line, 5 will be above the line. We have to keep adding extension rungs, as it were, once the 5 lines of the stave has run out. And that takes us to E, F, G, A, B. And there's our fifth, and so there's nothing to add there. Now back down to the lower tonic. E, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 takes us to D. And of course we raise the 7th degree of the scale, that's a D sharp. In this little information box here, we're asked to get used to listening to these intervals and to identify them. And that is a real musical skill that's very, very worthwhile investing some time in. We get used to hearing the different notes and the distance between those notes. And so, for example, the fifth, 1 to 5, is very atmospheric in that bugle call kind of sound, and you find different ways of hearing and recognising these intervals. So it's a good oral skill to acquire if you just give it a little bit of practice. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.